Hello. In this video we're going to take a closer look at how the main character was created and concepted for the game It's Dark Inside. We're also going to take an inside look of how the arena game mode is progressing for the game. And we're also checking in to see what strange things are happening inside of the god. So if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so to keep yourself updated with the game in the future. This is how the main character is actually looking like from the camera perspective that we are using from within the game. And as you can see, a good silhouette is extremely important from this camera perspective because of its zoomed out nature. It helps distinguish the character from the world and the other characters within it. Choosing the helmet and her unique portrayal is something that is vital from both the character and the story we want to tell, but also from a gameplay perspective. A huge part of creating such an important character is also creating different versions. And that was something that we also took a really careful approach of creating different characters and creating different archetypes of those characters. The helmet was a really hard thing to figure out because that is such a huge part of her unique design. We did a lot of different takes on that helmet and our own characters to really distinguish what we wanted her to be. So these were the first drafts of the main character created by our concept artist. And for the prototype that I created on my own spare time, I was kind of hesitant to make a walking animation for her because I was like knowing my own skill set of animation, it would look really Yankee if I tried to do that. So instead I thought of alternative solutions for having the character move. And I thought, hey, I can make a float instead. Float above the ground, like she's a magic wielder, and get a round of actually creating a walking animation for her. So I thought, okay, if she's a magic wielder, where does she get her power from? And I thought it would be cool to have some form of big helmet or something on her head. Because of the top-down perspective we have in the game, it will look kind of weird if she just is her own head without anything on it, because she needs to have some unique identifier for the character, something that you can take a look and say, okay, that's the main character, and make her stand out from the rest of the game, make her own unique silhouette. She has her own baby in her arms. We thought, okay, how will she hold her baby? And we thought she could have bandages so that she wraps her baby inside of. So, and also she has fallen inside of a god, so she has probably hurt herself. So she could have bandages around her that she wraps her baby in and is cloaked inside of those bandages herself. We started refining what we did like and didn't like about the first concept, and we thought about a more refined look for her headpiece. We also wanted to get into the bandage theme, thought about what if she made her dress from the bandages that she was wrapped inside of. And this was the new direction we took from the first set of concepts that we took a look at. That's a really nice way of like creating concept art, and a nice way I like to do things, is to make different versions of the main character so that all members of the team can take a look at those different versions and say what they like and what they don't like, so that we can all agree as a team what things we collectively dislike or like, so that we can choose a different direction for like an enemy, or in this case the main character, together, and have a sense of belonging in each thing we make. After that we took some more refining, actually taking what we liked about that concept, but also wanting to put a little bit more of a color on it. A character is often created in steps, and in this step, we thought, okay, what is her signature color? She could have a red bandage instead, but also have her crown be more of a metallic crown that is different from the rest of her body, being something that is totally different from the rest of the game. Because the rest of the game is that you're inside of a god, everything is weird and gross, but her headpiece is made of metal instead, to show the difference between herself and the rest of the environment and stick out in it. I just wanted to also give an update about how the game's arena mode is progressing. So for this week we have started implementing a very basic implementation of the main menu, but also starting to implement how the arena mode in the game will actually play. So we wanted to have a basic, for now, implementation of everything so that we can polish it and test it for later. We don't want to actually start trying to make everything perfect, but instead having the basics so we can polish it and not focusing too much about the details for now. So the game's arena mode is a mode where you're competing to gain the most high score in a limited amount of turns. And we have actually started to implement it for this week and started to have a playable version of it where you can actually get a score, and with the timer counting down, with enemies spawning in that you need to kill to gain the most amount of score as you possibly can. It's also meant to have a leaderboard element where you can compete in those arenas amongst your friends. It's also meant to have a replayable nature where you need to go back and replay levels, trying to gain the most amount of score in those levels as you possibly can to unlock new levels to play. Last thing that we've been working on this week is a flower. The actual flower is inspired by a real flower that exists in the world that is supposed to smell like rotten flesh and is quite unpleasant to look at. The flower is supposed to actually be where the god spawn come from within the level. So if the player notices one of these flowers, they are sure to know that trouble is awaiting them. And these petals will crunch up, and after a turn, they will reveal themselves, opening up and revealing that a god spawn was bred from the inside of the flower. So that's a nice way to actually show how the god spawn are created. From a player perspective, they know that if they see a flower behaving in this way in the level, they know that a god spawn will be created next turn, and they anticipate that while they're doing combat. That was everything for this week. I hope I will see you again in the next devlog video. Me and my cat here will continue development on the game. So if you want to hang out, there's a Discord link for our Discord in the description. So you can type us at anything or ask us any questions. But in the meanwhile, I hope you have a really good week. So bye from me and bye from Signe.